Rick and Morty Season 5. So soon after Season 4, I don't feel I've waited enough. And Season 4 was bad, like really terrible. Will 5 be as good as Season 3? Will there be continuity? Or will it be like The Simpsons or Family Guy? This show has so much potential. Please let it be something bigger. Don't let it turn into The Simpsons.
Intro?
Hi, welcome. Sorry if there is a little bit of a noise in the background because I have my fan on. It's so hot. I'm sure you can tell by the condensation. I cannot really exist without it. Welcome to this video, the review of the first episode of season 5 of Rick and Morty. As you can see, I added my status as a psychology student to the title of the series because that will be the lens through which I am going to be reviewing this series. I'm sure you can find plenty of people who review the episodes based on, I guess, references, which is, the typical thing to do. But since I began the series, I started focusing on character development because to me, up to the end of season 3, it seemed like there will be some kind of arc for the series, some kind of plot which continues through the episodes, which was all ruined with the appearance of season 4. You can check out my review of the season here, whose main motivation seemed to be spite and dislike for the audience, and just to hammer in the fact that the audience shouldn't really have any expectations for the series. So I am starting this season 5, with a clean slate, in the sense that I have no idea where the series is going. However, I refuse to let go of all the things that I learned in previous seasons about the characters. The first episode was put on YouTube and was available to be watched here for free for 24 hours. I thought that it's just going to stay here, so I didn't take any screenshots. To obtain the screenshots then, I watched a video about Easter eggs within the season, which I will link here. And in this video, the author mentioned that it seems like the show is kind of heading in the direction of The Simpsons. And I really don't want that from the beginning, because there were such huge gaps between the seasons, and because up till season 3, the seasons seem to be getting bigger, more profound, kind of, in a way. I thought that this season will have an arc. As I said, I am really hoping that it won't turn into another Family Guy / The Simpsons show, because there is plenty of those, and I would really appreciate it being more kind of like Adventure Time, which started with just mini episodes which are completely unrelated, and then introduced several big storylines which took place in the background of the episodes, if you know what I mean. Before I start talking about this episode, I'd like to mention that if you want to learn what I think about each of the characters' character arc, I recommend watching, the whole series of my videos, but season 3 series is really focused on the character development, and so yeah, you can watch that. So let's start my review of Morty Dinner, Rick, Andre, season 5, episode 1. The title is a reference to the film My Dinner with Andre, but I'm not going to really analyze that because usually the references within the titles are barely relevant to the plot, in my opinion. I can't really talk about continuity, so I can't really tell whether there is going to be a bigger story within the season, but I'm hopeful that there will be. This season did not crush my hopes in this direction. The plot is split 3-way, and speaking of, that's the main theme of Beth and Jerry's plotline, who are contemplating having a 3-way with Mr. Nimbus, who I will talk about a little bit later. They are going to couples therapy with Dr. Wong, and because their sex life is spicing up, they feel the need to talk about it a lot, even in the presence of their children, which is kind of gross and creepy, but that's par for the course in this show. You can see that they are growing as people, growing stronger as a couple, and that is also in line with what we learned about them in the previous seasons. They are getting closer. Rick is not barely relevant to their plot line, which is also a big improvement to how they started the show. When it comes to Morty, his plotline is almost completely unrelated to Rick. He does a small errand for him, but it's Summer, who's barely in the episode, who's doing the legwork for Rick. Morty is trying to have a date with Jessica, who is very present in this episode. It might seem that she's going to become a bigger character in the series. We can't really tell. And his plot is, this errand is aging some wine for Mr. Nimbus. He goes into a Narnia-like world where time goes by quickly, puts in the wine, then visits it later to fetch the properly aged wine. And by accident, he sets in motion a series of events which makes him the evil god and the devil of that particular world, which is inhabited by this puppy dragon creatures. I think that this plotline is pretty interesting because it showed how much Morty is distanced from Rick, how much he does not rely on his approval anymore, but it also showed that they are still so entangled that Rick is going to set him back and prevent him from growing and becoming fully independent. And that's shown by how him doing this errand for Rick prevented him from actually dating Jessica, who was receptive to the idea at the beginning of the episode. By the end of the episode, Jessica says that they should be friends, but they're both are going to have different moments. And some people seem to think that they are going to have these moments together, but I think she's just implying that they are both going to have different opportunities for relationships. May I remind you that Jessica already had a boyfriend, and Morty also had a couple of in-text relationships. I know that Jessica is a recurring character, and I hope she's going to be a recurring character as a friend for Morty, or as this Time Lord that she became in this episode. By the way, there was a cameo from a cosmic owl, who you probably know from Adventure Time. And that's it for this plotline, I guess. And the third plotline was the standoff between Rick and Mr. Nimbus. By the end of first season, we think that Rick is invincible. By the end of season 2, we think that he's a bad person, but still pretty cool. By the end of the third season, we think that he's a genius, but actually kind of weak character and a bad person. And by the end of season 4, he's a genius, but a person with a weak character and kind of pathetic and lame. And this first episode kinda goes even harder because he's not only all those things, but also he is not invincible anymore. His biggest foe, his nemesis, turns out to be previously unmentioned Mr. Nimbus, King of the Ocean. He is a very horny mer person who is clearly a crossover between Namor from, I think, is Namor in MCU? I think so. Namor and Aquaman, but he's making Aquaman cool again. I mean, Jason Momoa did a lot of work for that, but he's even more powerful. So powerful that he legit can beat Rick, which he does in this episode. I know that some people weren't really amused by him. I think that he was a pretty dope character, so that's kind of what saved the episode for me, because the fact that this SeaWorldy, inexplicably police-controlling bastard beats Rick kind of makes me fear for this season, because if there is not an arc in this season, the fact that Rick is so weak in the first episode will just mean that the season will be just each of the Smith family characters becoming stronger, but in a pointless way, because Rick for some reason will still stick around. By the way, in this episode there was an in-text reference to a different sidekick that Rick used to have, but I think it's not something that we are meant to take too seriously. This episode kind of already also toys with the idea of is it called retconning, like implementing backstory retroactively, but this episode kind of confirms that they are not going to do it too much. The only reason for them to do it is to introduce cooler characters, but it's been stated outright that they want to keep Rick's history a mystery as long as the show is running. So I guess that's all that I have to say for this episode. All the plot lines were pretty cool. I am fearing for the future, not of the show, but of my relationship with the show, because I think I might dump it if it turns out that they are heading into Family Guy direction, because I wanted it to be more. I am fearful for the future, but hopeful still. If you're interested, consider subscribing, because I'm going to be doing reviews after every episode drops. I have access to them because HBO Go, which is Polish HBO Max, are going to be releasing them in a timely manner. At the same time, they are released in the US, so I am very stoked for that. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up. See y'all hopefully sometime soon, and bye-bye.